What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 43. We're starting today's stuff on the back of the season opener where we saw our monster transfer budget for season 4 of £184 million. We've invested heavily already, 100 mil spent on Moussa Diaby as our new inside forward on the right. Lovro Measure has come in from Newcastle United for 51 mil plus Lewis O'Brien. We've sold Scott McKenna to Brighton. We've loaned out some kids. And we've also signed Paulo Gazzaniga for the bench as well on a free. But speaking of Argentine internationals, well, how about this? This was not in the script. This was not planned, but it seems as though we're going to let go of our star centre-half and my favourite centre-back in this year's FIFA. Yup, in the prime of his career at 28 years old, 84 rated, he has made a tremendous amount of difference to our defensive capability since coming in from Bournemouth. But when PSG come a knocking, it's hard to turn them down. The player wanted to leave and link up with Lionel Messi at the part of the prance. Well, to be fair, Messi's probably gone by now, but yeah, last year's Champions League finalists in the save. They came up short to Barcelona, who of course will take on in the Super Cup in today's episode. But Marcos would not want to stay here at the City Ground if PSG came a knocking. With the money and the wages they can offer him, we can't match that. With the pedigree that PSG have, yeah, we might have the history, but at the moment PSG are the bigger club, obviously. Last year's Champions League finalists. I said, Marcos, do you know what? The 2 years you were here, you could not have been a better centre-half. He improved our backline unbelievably so. It was so fragile, but since he came in, we defended so much better. Do you know what? I think you deserve your big money move, mate. Marcos off to PSG for £46.5 million. My favourite centre-back in this year's FIFA, and I had to let him go to PSG. It was only fair. I couldn't stand in his way. So I needed a replacement. Obviously, we sold McKenna. We've still got Worrell and Oxford, but yeah, I want someone new to play alongside William as the replacement for Marcos. There were several names on the shortlist, but I thought this would be a fantastic signing. He's moved on from Liverpool to Villarreal in the prime of his career at 28 years old, a couple of ratings higher than Marcos Senesi. And whilst Unai Emery is now an Aston Villa manager, his last piece of business at Villarreal was to sell me Joe Gomez. Yep, moving on from Anfield to Villarreal and on a 5-year deal, 79 grand a week, £57.4 million. Joe Gomez will replace Marco Senesi as our number 6 alongside William in our backline. I'm buzzing with that fantastic replacement. Yes, it is over 10 million more than we got for Marcos, but 2 ratings higher, same age, Joe Gomez in. And you know, the funny thing about Gomez is that I signed him in a lot of my Who to Sign For episodes and now my 2-season transformation saves as well, which you guys are enjoying too. But I barely signed him in a proper career mode. You know, I tend to sign him in like my B saves, but never actually in a proper career mode. But now I have. Joe Gomez is in, and I'm buzzing with this as well. He's so quick, Joe Gomez, as we know, and a great defender as well. The only negative to Gomez, as we're all aware of and have known for a while, is the concerns about his injury tag. You know, he's got the injury-prone tag and the injury-prone trait. That's the only concern with Joe Gomez for me. And of course, we do get a lot of injuries here in this save due to the injury sliders being increased as well. That's my only concern with Gomez. We got the depth though. I mean, Oxford is still here, obviously. Joe Worrell's still here too. And I might sign a new centre-half for the squad as well. But that's my only concern there. You know, Marcos, ever present, never really missed a game for us. He played midweek and on the weekend too. Can Joe Gomez do that? Is Gomez going to be fit enough to be able to do that? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. That's my only concern with Joe Gomez. Fingers crossed, he'll be all right. I'm buzzing though, really buzzing. Star centre half leaves, but a new one comes in. You know I love those English players with a homegrown quota. Joe Gomez arrives, but he wouldn't make his debut in the first and only game of today's episode. He's take on Barcelona in the Super Cup. Heading into this game here, last year's Champions League winners beating PSG, us the Europa League winners beating Inter in that thrilling Europa League final, won on penalties. Heading into the game Wednesday night, a few days before the Premier League season opener. Well, I talk about it a lot, man. The Community Shield, the Super Cup. It's nice to win it, but if you lose it, you're not going to be too beaten up about it. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I was more focused on the Premier League opener on the weekend. So heading to the game, there were some starters out there, don't get me wrong. Ali Musrati, Curtis Jones, Brennan Johnson, Dean Henderson, but there were also a lot of backup players getting chances in this game as well. And as we took on Barca, I thought, let's get a fast start, go at them despite the weaker side. And what a perfect beginning. 6 minutes in and we have the lead in the Super Cup. And Brennan Johnson, one of the heroes in our Europa League final victory over Inter, one man of the match in that game. Not known for his aerial prowess, but he's so consistent, man. Every single season, he seems to get me like 11 to 14 goals, around that range. He never seems to get more, but he never seems to get less. And he's a big game player, Brennan Johnson. How many big games or big moments in this season have I needed someone to bail me out, and it's been the captain? Brennan Johnson heads us into a 1-goal lead, and we take the advantage in the Super Cup. Barca, to their credit though, had tons of chances in this game. It was a sitter there through Ferran Torres as we were still leading by 1. But what I noticed in this game was that Barca, despite all the shots they were having and all the chances they were creating, the vast majority were coming from outside of the area. Most of their shots were distance attempts and not from close proximity. Got into a bit of a pickle here 67 minutes in and allowed Torres through 1-on-1, and again the former Man City man fluffed his lines. We were still leading by 1 with 10 minutes to go, and Barca kept on getting the opportunities, kept on getting the chances, but they kept on shooting from range. And when the shots were coming in, Henderson for the most part had to make the saves, but were quite comfortable saves for Dean. So in stoppage time, we were just containing at this point and saying to Barca, if you can't break us down and get inside or get clean strikes, then I'm content with this, because I back my number 1. And in the end, it proved to pay off. Yeah, I allowed Barca tons of shots on my goal, because most of which came from around the penalty area and not, close to the 6-yard area. And in the end, I thought, I'll back my number 1. I'll back Dean. He saved 2 of the spot kicks in the shootout in the Europa League final. If he can save them from 12 yards, he can save them from 18. He did, and in the end, well, you'll see the stats in a minute. Unbelievable. But in the end, the gamble pays off. We win the Super Cup by a 1-0 courtesy of an early Brennan Johnson header. I'm not too concerned though how we lost the game. I want to be too beaten up about it, and therefore I'm not going to celebrate this much either. Yes, it is another honour in the cabinet. Yes, it is a trophy. But I often talk about major honours versus minor honours, and I would classify the Super Cup as a minor honour. Now, some people might dispute that. That's totally fine, but to me, the Community Shield is a minor honour, the Super Cup is a minor honour. The reason I say that is very simple. It's a 1-game trophy. It's pre-season, technically. It is not counting towards any European standing. Winning the Super Cup wouldn't see you get immunity in the Champions League, for example, or anything like that. It's just a 1 game, you get a trophy. I don't think any player would ever hang up their boots come the end of their career and say, I'm gutted I never won the Super Cup, for example. I don't really consider it a major honour, and I don't think I ever will either. Regardless, that will do it for today's episode as we take a look at our squad now, with Joe Gomez coming in to replace Marco Senesi in our back four. The question is, do we need to make any more signings with this team? Well, if we're going to do that, we'll need to make another sale, as our budget's now dropped to 10 mil. But as you'll see, our team is now considered 5-star for the first time in a save. Yeah, I think we're done. Bring on the new season. But that will end today's episode of Career Mode, guys. Big thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. If you have done, please drop a like. Most of you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode featuring the draw for the Champions League group stage. And my God, I am excited for that. Don't miss it. Plus the season opening in the Premier League, and I'll see you for it very soon.